Good evening and welcome to Mindful Money Moment. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kivette Minor-Kane. I am your financial liberation expert, and I'm here to guide you on your journey to self-sufficiency by teaching you how to manage your money without losing your mind. And so this is all about how our emotions affect our money management, being able to make better decisions, to create better habits so that we can experience the quality of life that we truly desire and fulfill our life purpose. And so thank you for being here with me again this evening. Feel free to visit marimorelife.com for more information about what I do and how I do it, as well as to make a connection with me. I offer a free 15-minute clarity connection, which will, help me to understand what your interest is in terms of finance as well as mindset, and then be able to give you a plan for not just what to do, but really being able to understand how to do it. And that's what makes the biggest difference. This is all about being able to understand where we are in our lives, to be able to start from that point and grow to accomplish our goals and create the reality of our dreams. And so this evening, I've got three amazing guests with me. We have Coach Jo Dee, Health Coach Jo Dee from Florida, USA. And she is a health coach and nutritionist. So she's going to be sharing some information with us about, how we're able to set our mindset in terms of the physical. And then we also have Claudine Reid, who is with us from London, UK, and she's going to be sharing with us some very valuable information about how we're able to financially set our mindset. And then also we've got Rachelle Sassine, and she is an amazing business, marketing, and tech pro from Australia. And so she has broken through an industry that is male dominated, and she's got her girl power going on as she's the Sydney boss babe. And so we're going to look forward to hearing what she has to say about all of that. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. And then we'll all come together and talk about our money management strategies and how you all will be able to benefit once we get our mindset straight to be able to manage our money most effectively. So let us just take a moment to breathe, ladies. Breathe in peace and breathe out anxiety. We got to let it go, because now is the time for us to focus on our self-care, our self-love, our self-worth, and putting ourselves first. Because you know that if your cup is not full and overflowing, then you will be serving from a depleted place. And we want you to have an abundance flow. We want you to overflow onto all of those in your life who you nurture and serve, and being able to make sure that your cup stays full from the very beginning. So let's get started. I'm going to introduce to you first Coach Jo Dee Nylander-Baer. And hey, Jo Dee, how are you?
Great.
Thank you for joining us. I do just want to do a brief introduction and share your background so these wonderful people know who exactly you are, because you're absolutely fabulous. You are a holistic nutritionist, and you've got over 39 years of experience as a certified health coach. You've a radio show host as well as a podcast host. You've been in the direct sales industry for many years and are considered an expert in that area as well. You are a member of the National Speakers Association, so you're familiar with being on, these kinds of platforms and really knowing what information to share with us. So I'm looking forward to asking those questions and finding out the amazing details to go along with them. There was one point, though, in your story that I really appreciated, and it's talked about how you support the fact that anyone can be able, with the will and the perseverance, to overcome medical adversity and the hardship that one often encounters on the road of life. And so let's talk about that, Coach Jo Dee. First of all, welcome and tell us something that I didn't share from your bio that you would love for our audience to know about you.
Oh, I tell you what, you give quite the information, but you are so inspiring, Kavette, and what you are doing and bringing to both men and women, I think is so important. And I will say that I'm an original board member. We created the American Society of Holistic Practitioners, and this is something that I'm very excited because when we can all come together, whether it's massage therapists, acupuncture, health coach, nutritionists, we need them all because when you go in talking about self-care, would you ever go ahead and just take let's see, the doctor gives you 7 days for prescription. Oh, I only take 5. I'll leave the other 2. No. So we go in and we go in self-care. I said, well, I'm going to go into Walgreens. I'm going to get this vitamin, that vitamin. No, you need a holistic approach, both mind, body, and spirit. And what I can tell you is I've got a lot of experience, should I say, at 67 years young, that I've had 3 instances. So when I say on my website, healthcoachjodee.com, I know what it means, personal experience, to have a comeback after a setback. I was in a halo for 6 months. They said I would never walk again at age 24. And you really become very grateful, and it's all about mindset. And I said, oh, wipe away my tears right now. Being upside down, you're going to flip me over and you're going to flip me up again. And that's what I say. Flip me over, flip me up again. The nurses always knew what I was going to say. And I had a situation not only with an auto accident without the auto. Yes, I was hit by a drunk driver when I was jogging. And that was a really big, hairy deal of getting mended back up. And yes, I'm a nationally ranked triathlete. When you get to be 67, there's not quite as much competition, but I do know what it means to say you are not your prognosis. No matter where you are financially, no matter what, it's all about mindset. I did not accept my doctor's prognosis with this and said, oh, well, first thing I said when I got in the operating room, will I play the piano again? And he said, well, did you play the piano before? I said, yes, I'm classically trained. Taught myself broken wrist to do it again, not once, but twice. When I was hit by a drunk driver 13 years ago, it will be this week. And they said, your memory will never come back. That's what they told my sons. Well, once again, your diagnosis is not your prognosis. It's mindset. No matter what you believe about money, what you believe about your health, if you put the oxygen mask on yourself before putting it on others, you will always win. I know that physically because I overexercised. I found myself with stage 4 melanoma 22 years ago. And guess what? I brought it on myself because I over exercise. So you can't exercise your way out of a bad diet, can't exercise your way to health. You must do things in balance. Just like if you're over with your credit cards, if you're over the limit, it's the tap on the shoulder. Best get there before it's a 2x4 because the Mack truck, it's too late.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Very well put. I'm going to use that illustration. Get the tap on the shoulder before that Mack truck comes and gets you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, that's an amazing story that you have, those stories of survival, not just once, but twice being hit and being able to fully recover. And you look absolutely amazing. No one would guess that you are 69 years young, let me tell you.
67, but that's okay. At 67, that's all right, but it'll be 69 before I know it.
No, but that's awesome. And so you have gotten into the holistics of nutrition and health because you recognize that there was a need for this balance. And that's really what I promote here on the show, is talking about the 5 areas of mindset that we really have to consider before we even start working on our money management. And those include mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and financial. And so for you, you're covering the spiritual and the physical part of that. with your nutrition as well as the holistics, and that organization sounds absolutely fabulous. I definitely want to get more information about that to share with our audience so that they'll be able to follow up and even get more information about that organization for joining, and to find practitioners who are there, because I know that, that's where we're able to make sure that we have those mastermind sessions and improve our skills, make sure that we have the certifications and the qualifications to serve our clients the best that we possibly can. So I applaud you for that. Absolutely.
Thank you. And I want to let your listening audience know, because when you feel great, you're going to do great. Absolutely. And the one thing that I espouse that you and I have talked about is that the number one cause of all disease, Uncle Harry did not die of a heart attack. Aunt Harriet didn't die of a heart attack. They died of inflammation. It's the number one cause of all disease. That is the thing. And from inflammation creates obesity. And when Bob Bear found me on the beach and we married a year later, I made him sweat. Okay. And I can truthfully say he proposed to me with terms and conditions. He said, look, I have all this. I said, yes, but I want all that. See, women can add the whipped cream and the cherry on top to a great sundae with a man. And I believe in all my heart that he said that he didn't want to go and see me at the airport out on Monday, back on Friday. So I sold my practice. I went back into the arena of direct sales only because some of the finest products I was able to give my clients, just give them the best that I knew, the best of me and the best of that. Well, frankly, what is so amazing about this, in the 10 years that we've now been married, I can say that my clients have lost 800,000 pounds of toxic fat. Wow. So what I want, because it's not, you aren't fat. You aren't broke. You just have red in your bank account, like my dress. You just have fat around your belly. Well, let's get it off. Like COVID-19 was around a lot of women's bellies. That's just the way it was. Stress is cortisol. So what I want to offer our viewing audience is our book, Be Lean, by the physician who I was his first patient. Dr. Mike Van Thieland really, really put me on because I needed a coach, even for me being 20 years as a health coach, finding out I had this situation with melanoma. He was my coach. He was my physician. He got me on track. So Dr. Mike and I came together during COVID to write this book, Be Lean. I want to offer it free to your viewing audience. All you need to do is just put book in my IG handle at Health Coach Jo Dee and just pay the shipping and handling on the book. I also have a 20-minute free consultation for all of you, and also just the opportunity to go in and be a part of what I'm going to say is going to be extraordinary, because our host here, Ms. Cavett, is going to be the opportunity part of our HOPE online event, which stands for Healing, Opportunity, Positivity, and Empowerment. And it is May 15th from 1 to 5. It will be keynote hit off with the Les Brown, and the thought leader, Mr. Rex Sykes, will be wrapping it up. We have some fabulous speakers, and your $49 fee, the majority of the proceeds will go to my orphanage in Kenya.
Awesome. That sounds fabulous. And I'm so looking forward to that event coming up on May 15th. And so you guys can look for postings about that. We'll definitely have all the links and connections where you can register and make sure that you're a part of that as well. And to support, always an opportunity to give back is a bonus for us, because we have been so fortunate, many of us, to have so much, and to make sure that you're looking out for others. It's how we're able to pay it forward. It's like we can't pay back the universe for the blessings that we receive, but we can share those blessings with others, and it's just like, it's not always about the money, but what the money can do for us. And that's where money comes in. And it's so important for us to make sure that we're managing it right so that we can not only care for ourselves, again, making sure that our cup is full, but then being able to serve from that overflow and to share with others. So that's a great opportunity to do that. So thank you for sharing that as well, Coach Jo Dee.
You're so welcome.
You're welcome. So I have a question for you about routine. Because, here on Mindful Money Moment, we talk about not just what to do, but how to do it. And it's so important for us to be able to have some actionable steps that we can take and putting into implementation, different things, different decisions that we can make to create better habits all around. And so what are 3 things that you would recommend someone should add into their weekly routine for a good balance where you're talking about the health, the mind, the body, and the spirit?
Got that. Just comes to me. On the physical, being a triathlete and a master marathoner, I now go ahead and I vary up my exercise. But what I do, just like a mom makes the lunches the night before for her children, well, what I do is I lay out, if I'm going to do yoga, I know it's yoga day, my mat is out the night before. My clothes are out the night before. My shoes are laid out the night before. That's number 1. Number 2 is that I look and see what my activities are throughout the week. Because when I sold my practice, I went to people more than them coming to me because I no longer had a storefront. So it was more on the internet. Now we're doing more Zoom. So I look and see about my schedule. Another thing that your listening audience and your viewing audience and your following audience can ascribe to is my green miracle drink. I make 5 mason jars of this green miracle drink. I make it ahead of time because it's in a mason jar. All the vegetables, all the nutrition, all the fruit, loveliness of the antioxidants will stay preserved. They're in the refrigerator. So I've got that good to go thing. And without a doubt, in my default calendar, just like you teach people to pay not only your tithe to wherever you want to, that 10%, but pay yourself that 10% at least. I know you do. All right. Without it's even talking, I know we're of the same wavelength. Absolutely. But I put in that 15 minutes just for me time, the self-care. And if you've never done it before, I will help you. I've got the 6 components on my website. If you've never meditated before, just sit in a chair and breathe. And just kick out the words. I'm going to say there is a platform called confidencetones.com. You can go ahead and take that 10-minute meditation tones of having all the alpha, beta, binaural, gamma, delta, and theta. If I didn't say delta, all of the combination will just de-stress you enough that you can hit the day running again. It will be the best refresher that you possibly could have, not only for your mind and your spirit, and you've got your green drink for your body.
Yeah, awesome. That's amazing. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. They've got those tips to put into place, and that is an excellent one. Normally, I talk about what to do in the morning, but that is absolutely key, being prepared the night before. If you are already in the mindset, especially if it's something that is challenging for you to think about doing, if you don't have your mat out or you don't have your running shoes, then you might not get up and do that. But if it's sitting right there staring at you, then you're like, it's undeniable. Absolutely.
My shoes are waiting for me. My mat is waiting. It's saying, Jo Dee, come be one with me.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Coach Jo Dee. I'm going to set you to the backstage for just a moment, and we'll see you in just a few moments to share with us again about some money management tips. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. So thank you so much for that. Now we're going to bring to the screen Miss Claudine Reid, who is our MBE and Business Advisor over in London, UK. Thank you so much for joining us, Claudine. How are you this evening?
Hey, Kivette. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. I am doing really, really well.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's awesome. So I'm going to share just a little bit of information about you with our audience so they can know who you are. So Ms. Claudine is an MBE, former UK Government Social Enterprise Ambassador, Senior Advisor to Lloyd's Banking Group, and Personal Development Mentor with over 25 years business experience, developing and growing businesses across multiple sectors. So Claudine is actively involved in community and personal transformation and leans into international community development, obviously here, with a focus that is in line with the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals to create and sustain a better future for everyone. And she's passionate about promoting economic empowerment, personal development, and leadership skills. So thank you so much for coming to share all of that with us, Claudine. I mean, that is absolutely fabulous. Now, one thing I didn't explain, and I'm going to ask you about, I would love for you to enlighten our audience here about what that MBE is. What does that mean?
So an MBE it stands for Member of the British Empire, similar to the presidential Medal of Honor that you have over in the States. It's an investiture awarded by the Queen of England for services to the community. There are different ranks. So services to the community, services to the country, and service on an international level. So in 2008, I had the awesome honor of taking my family to Buckingham Palace to meet Prince Charles to receive my investiture for services to social enterprise.
That is so phenomenal. Awesome. Congratulations first of all for that. And thank you for sharing that with us, because it's so significant to recognize, who the audience here has an opportunity to benefit from in terms of expertise and guidance. This is all about education, guidance, and support. Being able to show, to tell us not only what to do, but again, show us how, and know that you're coming from a place of experience and obvious expertise with that. And it's been so heavily recognized. So that's phenomenal, and continue with your good work. So as you're continuing today as a business advisor, I know that helping people with their mindset and their emotions is a big deal. Now you deal with Lloyd's Bank, and most of us know about Lloyd's of London. And so when we talk about that, that's a very unique type of policy or process that you all offer to your clientele in terms of the insuring. Do you deal with the insurance side of that?
No. So my main role with Lloyd's Banking Group is to support the bank in helping them understand the barriers to accessing finance, and to help them understand some of the respective nuances that minority business owners in the UK have when it comes to developing their businesses, right? So we understand that a business is the backbone or the strength of any economy. So it's in the interest of the banking group, it's in the interest of financial institutions to put frameworks and structures in place that will support those business owners. So my role is to support the bank in supporting the wider community across all of their services.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That is awesome that you're able to put together that kind of protection for the community. And then you work with the United Nations and as well.
Not so much working with them, but I just support their philosophy of their sustainable goals. So I'm able to live that out, Kavette, through my own business that I run, through my own, I have several businesses, 7-figure businesses, a support business for women entrepreneurs. So through my work, I am then able to tap into some of those existing structures. Because here's the thing, right? Sometimes people want to start a business, but I firmly believe it's very important to plug into some of the already existing networks so that we can build framework, structure, and strategy that will allow us to move forward and not necessarily only work in silos, especially as it relates to job creation, as it relates to social mobility, as it relates to generational wealth. All of those things don't really happen in their entirety if we are operating in small silos.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it includes us being able to work on our mindset, to open up so that we actually have a community, which allows us the opportunity to mastermind, to find new ideas, to be able to share our ideas and to get feedback, in that sense, and to be able to know that we are building a solid foundation on which to build. Absolutely. When we create the mindset, then we're able to build our finances around that and to be able to have the stability that we need. Otherwise, it's kind of like, building a house on top of a sinkhole.
Absolutely.
None of us wants to do that, So thank you for doing what you do and for sharing that. In your businesses, how are you serving your clients in terms of being able to help them to support having the proper mindset in order for them to achieve success with their goals?
So that's a really great question, Kavette. And here's one of the things that I've learned over the last 25 years in particular of supporting high potential entrepreneurial women, that sometimes we have to unlearn the things that we hold to be true, because sometimes the thing that we hold on to, or the thing that took us to a place called here, will not take us to a place called there. So the way how I'm supporting them is helping them to better understand what broader opportunities look like, what different thinking structures look like. Because here's the thing, right? Many of my clients will say to me, I want to grow my business. I want to take on more staff. But for example, running a 5-figure business is not the same mindset as running a 7-figure business. It's not the same mindset as running an 8 or 9-figure business. So my work is really in helping expose the women to broader opportunities, different ways, methods of thinking, different structures that perhaps they haven't thought of before. And sometimes it's just simple shifts in their own way of working. It's not necessarily rocket science, but of course, if you haven't been exposed to this before, then of course it will be new. And my role really is about supporting those entrepreneurs to create jobs. When you are able to create jobs, you add an element of sustainability, not only to your own business, but also to the community. When you benefit the community, you benefit the city. When you benefit the city, you benefit the country. There is a ripple effect. When you benefit the country, now you can start doing international business. You have different levels of conversations. And so my role really is about supporting those women to tap into some of those structures, and those structures will help them develop their strength.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a clear distinction between the mindset of someone who is an entrepreneur and runs a solo business versus someone who is a business owner and has the employment opportunity that they're offering to those in the community. And there's a greater weight that goes along with that as well. When you take on the responsibility of other people, it's kind of like being a mom. You got to take care of and to make sure that this business is growing so that you can feed everyone that's involved. And so that's a huge responsibility and definitely requires a different mindset. So what is one key? Because we are encouraging women, even though many of us have come from, very humble beginnings, some even from impoverished situations. We're able to shift our mindset to gain a certain level of stability and my encouragement and what I train or teach my clients to do is to grow towards what we identify as self-sufficiency. So understanding that balance between their emotional intelligence and the financial education, it helps them to get their liberation, which is even beyond the independence or freedom that they would need to have in order to be self-sufficient. So what is something that you would recommend that they can consider or even take an action to do in terms of kind of flipping that switch?
That's a really great question. I think one of the key things to flipping the switch is around your network and the people who you are connected with, the conversations that you have, the exposure to bigger and better opportunities. Find a way to get in the room. Even if you don't understand the language, learn it, listen to the conversations, take notes of what you are hearing and see how you can then apply what you have heard into your own context. I think it's important to expand those connections, because sometimes it is about what you know, but sometimes it's also about who knows you.
Mm-hmm.
And who is able to advocate on your behalf. One of the things that I always share with my some of my mentees, it's good that you know people's names, but who knows your name? Who is calling your name in rooms where your feet have not even yet arrived at? And if you're able to expand those networks, and it's doing things like this, Kavette, it's around, using social media. Social media has kind of leveled the playing field, right? It's taken away the financial challenge of, can't get on a flight. I can't fly to Europe. I can't fly to Asia. Look, you can stay right in your home.
Yes.
As long as you've got good Wi-Fi, you can have conversation, and that's it. It's about that connectivity. It's about reaching out to people. So I think, one of the first things, and of course, reaching out to people, you got to build your confidence, and that too is a mindset thing. You got to have that self-worth, that self-belief, that self-actualization, to know that what you are carrying is worthy to be shared with other women, other business owners on that world stage. So I think it's super important to explore wider, bigger networks in order to leverage bigger opportunities.
Absolutely. So ladies, you hear that. Don't hold back. Make sure that you get into those rooms. Make sure that you are reaching out to the folks who are able to teach you. One of the main things I think that really has supported me in the beginnings of my process was even using YouTube as a mentorship program. I say YouTube University all the time because you can learn anything you want, but you can also go to get the mentorship that you need. And I would say, coming from an abusive marriage where I finally, have been able to break free and to overcome the challenges that provided, it was initially those motivating YouTube videos that gave me the internal strength to build up and to move forward. And so I hear you saying that's exactly what we need to do once we're able to build ourselves up, to then even reach out so that we're able to make connections with folks who are able to give us the encouragement that we need. But not only that, to give us the guidance.
Absolutely.
We need to be guided in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that there is something to be said about overcoming life's challenges and overcoming circumstances of life. And I think, as you share about your relationship, everybody has a story that could almost give them a justified reason to stay back.
Yeah.
But I think that story is exactly the reason why we need to propel ourselves forward. It's that story. It's that ability to overcome a challenging circumstance. It's that ability to see with your mind what we miss with our eyes in terms of how we can make progress. I am a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had to have major surgery, and I remember when I came back to my office and I said to my staff, I just want more out of life. They said to me, Claudine, you've just had major surgery. What do you mean you want more out of life? Because you realize in that moment, there is so much more that you can do. There is so much more to give. And I think it just kind of helps you focus a bit more on the purpose and the impact that you are able to have on such a broad level. So that mindset shift says, whatever took me from 1984 to 1994, I'm going to need some more muscle, some more spiritual muscle, emotional muscle, mental muscle to propel me forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And congratulations for your survivorship and your being able to thrive beyond that point. And that's exactly it. It's like no one knows our story until we tell them, but it's having the ability to share the story and how we've been able to overcome that can be so inspiring to so many other people, and we all face so many different challenges. Over this past year, people have had so many health challenges with COVID-19 and even beyond that to manage. And, hearing your story of overcoming and being able to thrive in the way that you have, and continuing to recognize that there is more to give. There is more to give in our lives. There is more of a connection that we can make with people so that we're able to really fulfill our purpose and to feel fulfilled beyond satisfaction, you know, and so that's absolutely amazing. That's fabulous. Thank you so much for sharing. And I will look forward to having you right back in a few moments. So now we're going to take off and take a look at or talk to Miss Rachelle from Australia. She's coming to us from down under. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Really excited.
Thank you so much for coming. And I'm going to introduce you to our audience just for a moment. So Miss Rachelle is a serial entrepreneur based out of Sydney, Australia. She's got 10 years of marketing and technology background, working for various startups. Now, listen at this. This lady left a 9-to-5 grind to invest in a construction company on the brink of collapse. So she went in to save the boy. From there, as managing director, she grew to a 7-figure firm in 12 months. So it became known as one of the fastest growing traffic management companies in Sydney. And that is why she is the Sydney Boss Babe. Okay.
I love it. Thank you.
That. It's awesome. Yeah. So how are you doing down under today? What time is it there in Australia?
It is 8:36 a.m. So right, I'm ready for the day. Yeah, I'm fresh.
Right. Yeah, great start to the day. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Talk a little bit about that. You know, tell us what we don't know about that whole construction, you know, the salvation that you provided for that company there, that 7-figure salvation.
Yeah, so it was really wild. I mean, my entire life I was working with startups and tech companies, had a marketing background, so studied SEO, never really thought about working in construction. It was never on my radar. And there were a few moments leading up to the minute that I quit where the universe was pushing me in a direction where I knew this wasn't my purpose. You know, I was burning out. My current role, I was doing like 12-hour days. I faced burnout where for a 6-week period, I couldn't walk, talk. My mom had to feed me, you know, literally with a spoon because I just got so sick. Yeah, and wasn't listening to my body, wasn't practicing, you know, mindfulness or well-being.
Okay,
so
can we pause for just a moment? Can we pause for just a moment? I want us to take a deep breath on that because I know that there are so many women who can relate to that situation where they have overworked themselves to the point that they weren't able to do anything for anybody. So let's just breathe in peace and exhale anxiety. Okay? Because it's real, you know, and thank you for sharing that with us because it's so relatable. You know, and it was a very challenging situation for you. I can only imagine. I mean, at what age did this happen?
I was 26.
Yep.
So I
invincible, right?
Yeah. And it came out of nowhere, and I thought I was going to lose my job because I was out of action for 6 weeks. My clients were ringing me, and I physically couldn't even look at my phone. You know, if I'd walk diagonally. I just had no balance. I ended up copying vertigo as well. So it was just a kind of spiral of things. And then after I recovered, I guess I had this period where I was thinking, like, do I really want to be doing all of this for somebody else? And I had it really good at my job. You know, I could have just stayed there and been really comfortable, but something inside of me, there was a desire I needed to get out. And then this opportunity kind of fell into my lap where a friend of mine who had a construction company, she was thinking of closing because they landed themselves in a $120,000 debt, and it was a matter of trying to figure out how they were going to pay this debt. And I'm not too sure what happened. I think I was at work, and I remember I called my mum and I said, listen, I'm thinking about leaving. I'm going to do something wild and just jumping in and trying something for myself. And it's construction. I've never done this before, but I don't know why I need to do it. And I said, what do you think? And I thought she was going to say, stay comfortable, stay in your role. You've got a good job and all the rest. But she just turned around and said, whatever you choose to do, I know you'll do great and I'll support you. And then I was like, oh, okay. So that was the moment I handed in my resignation, and within 2 weeks I was out.
Absolutely awesome. So you turned in your 2 weeks notice and was like, peace.
Yeah.
I'm done. That is fabulous. First of all, it is so fabulous that you had the support of your mom in that way. And I want to say to women who, may not have that same support from someone who's close to them, that they can borrow us. They can borrow us for their support, because we understand the challenges that we can face in situations like that, where you overwork yourself, where you feel like, you've got to put in 150, 200%, making someone else's dreams come true. And it affects you detrimentally, but then you've got to take that step back. We are here to support you, even if you don't have someone directly in your life who will give you that support. And we're saying to you, it is possible, right? We're tonight recognizing not only the potential that we have, but understanding how we need to manage the possibilities that are available for us. And then being able to make significant progress because of the decisions and choices that we've made in that. And you made a very courageous choice to leave the comfortable 9 to 5, which really wasn't that comfortable. I mean, let's be honest, if it puts you in that place, kind of like, okay, time to go anyway. Universe is like, like a billion signs, it's time to roll.
Yeah, exactly.
So good that you got that message.
100%. The universe was sending me signs everywhere. It was making me sick. It was, all these different things. And I was in my robot mode. And but yeah, for women, it's really hard because in marketing, there is a higher kind of ratio with more women entering the space. But when you're going out and you're pitching, so I was going out to clients and trying to sell, our services, and majority were men. So for women, it was always this pressure to work harder, to do more, to stand out, to speak up. And I guess from there, when you're pushing your body, for kind of months on end, even years, there's just a point where it's like, you need to cool it. So, so it was, it all worked the way it should have, but it's really important that if you don't have that support network, as you mentioned, so for example, I was lucky and blessed that I had my mom, but if you don't, just like what Claudine was saying, is have a network, have a boss babe tribe that you can just reach out to, throw some ideas out, because women supporting women is what we need. And the more of that we have, the more we can flourish, even if it is in a male-dominated industry. So we have to have each other's backs.
Absolutely. And that's a great example of that. It takes for us to have an opportunity to reach out, and so as we continue to provide opportunities for that, for women to come together, and there've been so many, with last month being Women's History Month around the world. And then here in the US, this month is Financial Literacy Awareness Month. I believe that, women have had an opportunity to celebrate, so much, and to be able to make so many advances. One of the reasons why we need to be so financially aware as well is because many of us have not taken an opportunity to think about planning for our financial futures, and we'll talk about that, once we get back together as a group. But it takes our being able to have the right state of mind first, to know that we can work ourselves into the ground before we get an opportunity to even enjoy what we've worked so hard for,
Totally. I totally agree.
Today, as a business marketing and tech pro, what are you doing today that is fueling your fire and
So I obviously still run the construction company, but I'm not too heavily focused in the day-to-day now. I've built the team up to, we have 35, 70-30 split female to male. So we're really pioneering the women in construction movement, which is amazing. Thank you. And then obviously my passion's always been startups, and I love to inspire women, obviously men as well, but I think women need that little bit of an extra push, because we have a lot of things working against us. So if we can show examples of how we're, doing doing great, and it's available for anyone. You know, we have access to social media, you know, YouTube, as you mentioned, the YouTube courses and things that you were doing. I was doing the exact same thing, learning how to save. And one of my, so I have a website, RachelleSassine.com, where I do mentor startups and consultants looking to grow. And
Awesome.
That's what fuels my fire now, and doing a lot of podcast interviews. And I'm launching my own podcast, hopefully in the next few months, if all goes well. So I would love to, have women just like you telling their story, because I think if we share our stories, like you said, people don't know what they don't know. So if we can share more and show that, you know, we do come from humble beginnings, that anyone can do this. So it's thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Absolutely. And that's just it. Even on this platform, having an opportunity to show that there is so much that connects us. You know, it's, you know, if the limitation is, and I would say even for myself years ago, because I did have an opportunity to live outside of the US for a few years. That opened up, you know, I thought I was cultured and exposed, you know, being here. But I had second thought coming, you know, I had to be introduced to some things and to learn to expand my culture. And in that process, it really showed me that, you know, there's so much that connects us rather than what divides us, you know. And I think that even through COVID-19, we've seen globally that we are a family. You know, we are truly a community that is connected in so many ways, and that we need each other. We need to be able to have each other for support. We need to be able to have each other for encouragement, even more so, you know, because oftentimes it is the encouragement that gives us the confidence to move forward, as opposed to you may, you know, be in a situation and maybe have the resources, but doesn't have the encouragement or the confidence, then they won't be able to use those resources effectively, you know. And so you are definitely a demonstration of being able to use those resources.
Thank you. And like you mentioned, it was, you know, I did have a lot of limiting beliefs beforehand. And that's, I think, what kept me paralyzed in my role, where I just kept doing it. And then obviously the universe was sending the signs. But at that moment, I thought I didn't deserve, you know, I had this feeling I didn't like money. Money was evil, you know, all the things that you kind of fed growing up. It was scarce. I didn't deserve it. It was that sense of lack. And then it was that switch when I thought, you know what, I am going to try this. And I started to change my mindset. And it's crazy how when you change the way you look at things, the things kind of change, you know, coming back to you. So it's like, it's all a reflection of, I guess, your perception of the topic. So a great topic that we're talking about today. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. And so we're going to bring in these other fabulous ladies back in on the scene, Coach Jo Dee and Claudine, to join us in further conversation, and now understanding how we're able to take our mindset and move into our money management. Now, ladies, there are 5 areas that I encourage my clients to work in. And those include to lay the foundation for their finances: credit, cash flow, savings, insurance, and investments. That's credit, cash flow, savings, insurance, and investments. And so when we look at where we've come in terms of mindset, from the mental to the emotional to the spiritual, the physical, and the financial side of the mindset, being able to actually handle our money without being stressed out about it. How I am encouraging women to manage their money without losing their minds. It's because even sometimes when we know what to do, we don't do it because we feel anxious about it. You know, and when we put something off, then just like what Coach Judy said in the beginning, you know, that little tap on the shoulder can then turn into a Mack truck coming to knock you off. You know, your kilter. It's like, okay, how do I recover now from this when I've ignored it for so long? And now it's this huge monster coming to get me, you know, and being able to reestablish ourselves. And so my encouragement is to start with our credit, and to rebuild our credit taking some very practical steps, making sure that we're handling whatever debt we've created, understanding the difference between good debt and bad debt, and then recognizing how we're able to actually use our credit in order to rebuild our foundation. A lot of times people will say, oh, I've got too much debt, I can't do anything. And they stop using their credit because they're trying to pay off the debt. How do you ladies recommend, or how would you say that you have been able to build your solid financial foundation in order to grow forward? And let's start with Coach Jody.
Thank you for allowing me to answer this question, because one of the things I wanted to mention in my story is that I was a young woman of 35. My sons were 6 and 7, and I had a note on the table from my husband, and it said, "I'm not coming home," which meant that, I kind of knew that he didn't mean that I wasn't coming home for dinner. All right. And I knew that he was serious because I went to the bank and there was just like zero in all 5 accounts. Then I did a little more investigating and found out that we were 3 months behind on every bill. He split, S-P-L-I-T, but I kind of rearranged the word that started with S and T. So just saying. And what I did, I thought, this is temporary.
Yeah.
And this is my encouragement to say, this is temporary. And I came up with a slogan. It was NMW, now money now. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, NM, not N. Okay. Now money now. Put on the waterproof mascara. Went humbly before everyone. So if you find yourself, you're below the table.
Okay, so that waterproof mascara is absolutely essential. Can we just
waterproof mascara, meditation, humbly say, look good. And by the way, one of those was my least favorite relative. It was called Aunt Iris. He had not paid our taxes for 5 years.
Right. Oh my God.
So, but guess what? It was only temporary.
Yeah.
I saved out of everything I was able to do because it was now money now. I created enough to get every single bill caught up in 21 days and created $1 million organization this was 1991 numbers. And money, which I'm sure would be at least 3. You would know better than that, Kavette. But in the next 8 months, was able to create a company that was over $1 million net.
Awesome. That is awesome.
You're below the table, just come out. We're waterproof and go.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And what that just proves to us is that where there is a will, just like you said, where there's will and perseverance, we can't give up. Even when we're out, and know that you are a master saleswoman, being able to go out in that direct sales, a lot of times people get so discouraged about sales because they feel like people are going to tell them no. And then everybody they go to says no. And then what do they do with that? And one of the mindset switches that I try to encourage is no means not right now. No means not right now. It is just as you said, a temporary state of mind, a temporary state of being. You are able to overcome as long as you're willing to persevere and keep moving forward. You can do anything. Absolutely.
And a PS on that, because I used my health coaching expertise, all right, to create leverage for leverage money. Then I had something I needed for NMN, now money now. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the average price of that component was $7 to over $1 million. Yes.
That's awesome.
Wow. And if I can do it, you can do it. I put my underwear on one leg at a time.
You went down to the panties. Okay, we're going to go to our next guest. Thank you so much for sharing, Jo Dee. Claudine, how would you say, and how would you recommend, or how have you been able to build your foundation financially in order to create the wonderful, vast empire that you have in place today?
Thank you, Kavette. Brilliant question. So, one of the key things I think that sometimes people struggle with, but I think it's such an important component part, is the rule of budgeting and learning to live below your means. Just because you have £100 or $100, you don't actually have to spend it all.
Say
And
that
if
again. Say that again.
you don't have to spend it all, right? I think you said this earlier on, Kavette, about paying yourself first. And if we're able to slowly build a little nest egg, $10 every month or $10 every week, eventually that pot will compound. If we're able to learn to live on 60%, 70% of your income, and I know for some of your listeners that might be a tall order, it's not so much the amount, it's the principle of the discipline, getting yourself into a routine of not having to spend everything. When you don't spend everything, you are then able to leverage opportunities. So if you're able to minimize your expenditure, walk past those shoes, walk past that beautiful dress, and just delay the gratification. What I learned was delaying the gratification allowed me to leverage bigger, better opportunities that would benefit me later on in life. So when you see all your friends going out and going on holidays and buying new cars, and you're thinking to yourself, am I missing out? Well, actually, no, not really, because you've delayed that expenditure. You are now, have this pot that you're building, and now you can have bigger opportunities. And of course, bigger opportunities give you bigger returns, but it starts with a budget. It starts with the discipline of not spending everything. I would encourage your listeners, if they're not doing so already, to try to live on 70% of their income, and the other 10% they tithe, the other 10% they save, the other 10% they invest. That's a workshop for a whole nother day.
Yeah, and we'll have that workshop. And we will have that workshop. Definitely. Because instilling those kinds of habits is absolutely what it allows us to change our lives. It's so often people have experienced challenges and they feel like they'll never be able to fulfill their dreams, but it's all about what we put our strength and our faith in. The challenges only truly show us how strong we really are, and it's overcoming those challenges that shows us that we've got this strength within us, from a source that is outside of us, that is so much greater than us. And being able to move forward, we can reach out to others to share that same energy and to pass on that same message. So thank you so much for sharing that, Claudine. Absolutely. Start with a budget. Gotta do that. To make sure that we're not overspending or spending more, but taking care of ourselves. Absolutely. So thank you very much again for that. And Rachelle, so how would you say, from your situation and the experience that you had, what was the financial challenge that you had, the biggest financial challenge that you had to overcome, and how were you able to do that?
Yeah, so on the back of what Claudine mentioned, it's again budgeting. So there was a few moments for me where I completely ran out of money, and we were dipping out of savings, and then I was just selling my furniture, trying to make ends meet. So that for me was the biggest lesson, where I knew that I needed to have 6 months in startup world, you call it runway, but in your personal finances, it's 6 months of your salary saved up. And it sounds scary, but it means if something comes at you, a random bill, an emergency, a health scare, you're covered and you're not needing to, freak out, because it's that anxiety that kicks in. Let's say you get a bill that you weren't expecting. That anxiety has that ripple effect on your, and everything pretty much for your day. So being that 2 steps ahead worked really well for me. And that's, again, living below your means, saying no to the fancy dinners, saying no to buying a new car, saying no to all the fun, trips my friends were taking. I was sitting at home, putting my dollars in the bank account. And, and it was that sacrifice.
It is a big sacrifice for us to make. And, oftentimes when women are coming from a place where maybe there are such limited finances and they're struggling to even put together, the money to care for their basic needs, then they think, how could I save anything, or how can I do any extra? And it really is possible for us. The first thing we have to do is open our eyes up to the possibilities and the opportunities for earning more income. We have to figure out how can we use our talents, what we already have, to get what we need, you know, to be able to either create some kind of product or provide a service, you know, in starting small. It doesn't have to be something that you're offering on a global scale in order to get from, you know, from not having enough to getting to the point where you've got an overflow, you know, and just like Jody was talking about in her experience, you know, it's like you say what you know, and you are able to share that with others and to be honest and open and to ask for help. Ask for help. You know, because we as women, oftentimes we feel like I have to do it myself. I have to just kind of, you know, suck it up and hold it in and make sure that everything is taken care of and nobody can help me. And no, that's not what we're doing. You know, it's at this day and age, we're taking a moment to be mindful. We are recognizing where we are. And then we are considering where we want to be and understanding how to get there and asking for help, you know, being able to get to that point. And so one of the things that I encourage in that process, because, you know, I always go back to mindset for this, is an affirmation that I actually created. And I would say that this came out of my trauma responses, you know, from initial, you know, release from, you know, the abusive situation. And I would find myself at times just triggered by random things. And it's like, okay, so where's that coming from? I don't know, you know, and so I, you know, just, okay, what is this? How do I handle it? I don't want to feel this way. How do I change it? You know? And so I stop for a moment and take a breath. Enough. I have enough. I do enough. Amen. Yes. And just recognize that it is within me because of the source greater outside of me that I'm able to make sure that everything is done. And what happens, ladies? Everything always gets taken care of. You know, everything, it works out somehow. And we stress ourselves out and worry sometimes. And it's just like, okay, wait, let's not go through that process. Let's just breathe and trust the process. And as we're focusing in on our productivity, then we can make progress, you know, and that's absolutely what we want to continue to do. So thank you, ladies, for being here with me this evening for this Mindful Money moment. It has been absolutely fabulous sharing with all of you, hearing your stories, recognizing your accomplishments. I mean, you guys, you ladies are just wearing that crown and rocking it out around the globe. From Australia with you, Rachelle, to UK and London with you, Claudine. And right here with you, Coach Jody. Thank you so much. You ladies have been fabulous. And I hope that the women who are watching and will see the replay will take notes and put into action and look out for the different events that we have coming up, because I'm definitely going to bring you ladies back in. So share some encouragement and be able to give some true steps and some advice for them to take into their new journey or to the next steps of their journey to self-sufficiency. And that's what this is all about. So thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Truly blessed. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to keep you on for just a moment, but I'm going to close out with just reminding everyone that last week we started with our $1 a day game. And I want to give you some encouragement that you can, if you don't have $1 a day, you can start with $0.10 a day. And if you think that $0.10 a day is too much, or if it is for the moment too much for you, start with $0.01 a day. You know, start as small as you need to until you can get to the point where you're able to grow. But the whole point is to start where you are. So this $1 a day game is meant for us to put some play back into our money, to have fun with it, to lighten the vibe, because, you know, so many times we can become stressed out about it, but money has a high vibe and it moves very quickly. And so we have to be able to keep up with that. We need to be smiling and laughing and having fun as we're doing our budgeting and planning for the future and even saving from day to day. So with the dollar a day game, what you can do is choose for yourself what the interval will be from 1 to 30 days or 1 to 31 days, however long the month is, and save $1 for each day. But the game is to add on $1 for each day. So day 1, you're going to save $1. Day 2, you're going to save $2. Day 3, you're going to save $3. Day 4, you're going to save $4, and so on and so forth. Now, I suggested that we can start with just doing a week at a time. So you go from 1 to 7. That way you're not overexpending yourself with money that maybe, would put you in a challenging position. But you can set this to something that is achievable. And then every day celebrate as you put that money away, whether you've got it in a jar or you're making a shifting from one account to the next so that you're able to take it from your spending account to your savings account. Then be able to add that money up. And so from day 1 to 7, or even if you want to start smaller, start from day 1 to 3. So save $1 one day, $2 the next day, $3 the next day, and then start again with $1, $2, and $3, and continue to do that until you say, you know what? I think I'm going to increase my save, and I'm going to go to day 4. And that is where we celebrate the micro wins. When we celebrate, then we just bring up our energy and we have so much fun and we're able to manifest so many positive things. So continue to do that, ladies. Have fun with it. Check in with me. You can make comments on this platform here on YouTube or on Facebook. Feel free, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Please, take an opportunity to share this with your friends and your family, your girlfriends, your sister circle, who you're having these conversations with, and we'll have more mindful money moments with you in the future. So thank you so much for joining me this evening, for having this time with Rachelle, Jo Dee, and Claudine, and we will look forward to seeing you again on another day. Have an amazing evening, ladies, and we'll see you again for another Mindful Money Moment. Take care.